Last week I meant to talk about this, but I completely forgot to. And that's a comment that I got 2 weeks ago. It was from someone named Jessica, and she said, new relaxing voice to fall asleep to just dropped. And that's a compliment. It's a great thing to hear if you're on the internet. But if you think about it out of the context of what it is, it would be kind of an insult, right? It'd be like, oh yeah, look at your voice is so whatever it is that I fell asleep to it, right? In the normal world, pre-podcast, PP, they're calling it in the timeline, in the annals of history, you would think that, oh, that's an insult. What, my voice is making you fall asleep? But no, it's a sweet little thing. Ideally, I would like everyone to do that, fall asleep to my voice. In a perfect world, I would be in your bedroom as you're falling asleep. That's not okay. I realize what the phrasing is like, but you understand? In a post podcast world, which I guess would also be PP, so we would have to come up with something different than that. There's a lot of PP going around, and I don't think that's good for recalling history. You won't know what happens pre and post podcast. You'll just think it's all one thing. But eventually, that's what the world will be, right? It'll all just be one thing where everyone has a podcast and we all listen to each other's. And then we get to comment on them and be like, I love what you were saying about that thing. And you're like, how did you get a chance to listen to my podcast? Because I thought you were recording yours. And you're like, that's a good point. Yeah, no, I hired someone to listen to your podcast and like take notes and then tell me. So really, there's nothing to look forward to in the future. But no, that's such a nice thing to say. New relaxing voice to fall asleep to just dropped. I'm so glad that we're sleeping together. That's not okay. See, there's a lot of eggshells you got to walk around to talk about this. So maybe I just leave it at this. Thank you so much. Oh my God. How many of you guys are sleeping with me? That 3 for 3. I just struck out. I'm just curious, what do you put this podcast on to listen to? Do we just talk to each other? Like, is this just a one-on-one we have every week? Do you say, I've asked this before, but I think it's been like a year since I asked, when does this podcast have a place in your life? I heard someone, they make dinner and they listen to this podcast. That's cool. Someone said that their weekends are typically Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So they really look forward to this being the start of their week. And I think that's, or the start of their weekend, right? Something to look forward to throughout the work week. I've also heard some people, yeah, they fall asleep to it. It's got that ASMR effect, ASMR, it's funny because it doesn't have to be like interesting. It just has to be very calm and ever going. Is that a word? It just has to keep going and then you kind of have it on in the background. It's like white noise. Except I guess this would be brown noise, wouldn't it? And I won't explain that. You got it. Yeah. That little smile you're doing out of the side of your mouth, I know. It's okay. I give you the pass. You can laugh at that. Like I'm some kind of authority on the thing. No. But what is this? Well, where am I in your life? Huh? Are we far along? How close are we? Huh? But apparently with this person, I'm in bed with them. Isn't that nice? Well, go. Still got it. I heard something at work and it sent just a cold sweat, a shiver down my spine. Someone said, unironically, it was sincere. They said, let's cross that bridge when we get there and then circle back on it. And that felt like they were doing a joke. But what made it so chilling is that they were being 100% sincere. And I was like, that's not something you can say sincerely. Like, there's no irony in your voice or in your brain when you say something like that. I feel like if I said something like that and I didn't catch any twinge of irony, I think it's time for me to move on. Maybe get a new job, maybe just stop working, just kind of take a breather for a while, because what are you talking about? I'm so deep in that I'm saying cross that bridge and circle back in the same sentence without evaluating anything in my life. That's one of those moments where there should be like a light that comes out of nowhere and beams down on you, and then it has a deep, ominous voice and goes, what are you doing? I don't think it would sound like that. I think the voice is different for everyone. That's my voice. That's what I hear. So you can't be like, that was a bad voice, Garv, because it's my voice. Okay? It has creative direction with all of us individuals. I just feel like if I heard something like that, which I did, that's why I know what the voice sounds like, I would kind of start to question things if I said it. I was a victim in this situation. I was not the perpetrator. But being on the receiving end, it doesn't feel good. It would imaginably feel maybe even worse being on the receiving end when the perp doesn't even know that they're doing a bad thing. That's got to be the worst thing, right? To be a victim of a crime when the perpetrator doesn't even feel anything. There was no malice. They were like, oh yeah, I guess that you just happened to be there at that time. It's like, oh shit, okay. Well, that I don't know. I kind of wish it was personal now because then I'd be like, well, yeah, look at that. You were motivated by emotion and motive. But if it's not that, well, then this just feels bad. This feels just like a coincidence. But someone said that, and it did feel like a full frontal attack. Let's cross that bridge when we get there and then maybe circle back on it if we have to. Huh? Maybe you should circle back on whatever decisions you made in life because what led them to this moment? How did you pick every, right? You know, those games where you like choose your own adventure or whatever, like it has like, oh, a billion different endings depending on what dialogue options you choose. And then, you know, there's a little blurb in the corner that says, Garb will remember that, you know? Shout out to Dispatch. Yeah, I voiced Sonar in that game, believe it or not. But there's every decision you made in life, it leads to that moment. And that led to this gentleman going, yeah, let's cross that bridge when we get there and we'll circle back on it. And what really blew me away with that is that he hit the twofer. He did the combo breaker. Some people, they just do it at one, right? They say the one and it's a little tongue in cheek. They're like, I know what I just said. I know. I'm naughty. It's like having a dessert when you know you're not supposed to. You're like, I know. I had an extra bite of the muffin. I shouldn't have. But sometimes that happens. You just find yourself doing that. Sometimes you find yourself saying, let's cross that bridge. Let's circle back. Let's table it, you know? Stuff like that. You don't really know you're going to say it until you get there. And then when you get there, yeah, you feel a little naughty. You're like, oh, I guess I did do that. But the thing is, he did two of them. That's like going up to one of those buffet tables at like a fundraiser or something, the snack table, and you pick up two muffins when there was only one allocated to each individual. That's fucked up. He's greedy. This is what gluttony looks like in the corporate workspace. And I didn't appreciate, I didn't have much of an appetite for being in that room when it was said. It was a Zoom call. Who am I kidding? It's Microsoft Teams. Who am I kidding? It's just like Zoom calls is what you kind of say. It's like the Kleenex, right? No one says, oh, give me a tissue. We always say, give me a Kleenex. No one's like, oh, I was on a Slack call. I was on a Microsoft Teams call. We just say Zoom call now. It used to be Skype call. Now we've evolved as a society. But I guess there's an argument to say that we devolved, haven't we? That we're now all on Zoom. Because there's nothing better than a human touch, a human connection. That's why we love sleeping together, don't we? No, okay. He went back to it. Why'd you do that? But no. This is a relaxing voice. You enjoy this, right? I can say stuff like that. Also, something that happened at work, this was like the opposite. That person said it with their full chest, right? Let's cross our bridge together and circle back on it. They said that with no remorse. They said it with the glee, unfortunately. But then the opposite, right, the other side of the coin is someone saying something with a little bit of remorse, a little bit of regret, a little bit of shame I felt in their voice and their tone. They said, they explained something in a meeting to someone, and they said, you know what I'm talking about? And then not even a second later, they went, probably not. I was like, oh my God. Holy shit. Because they did a really bad job of explaining whatever it was. I don't know, it's been so long, I even forgot what they were explaining, but they explained something to another party on the call, and then they said, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, probably not. I was like, oh, that's a week ruiner right there. If I said that to someone I don't know, I wouldn't be able to sleep later that day. I wouldn't have dinner that day, which would then lead me not be able to sleep. I would just sit there, feel my stomach eat away itself, and be like, no, I deserve this. People in the world right now, they deserve food. I'm not one of those people. There are two parties right now, and I am in the latter one that does not have the funds for food. And what's the fun? Being a, contributing member of society. And the fact that I said that shit back there, well, I guess that makes me ineligible. Ineligible? Sorry. See? I'm going to think about that later today and not be able to eat. Stupid. No, but self-talk is important. It's really, whether or not you believe in manifestation, you really got to talk about yourself in a positive light, because that's the food your brain is eating. Garbage in, garbage out. If you talk all negatively about yourself, what's your brain gonna think? It's gonna think it is a loser. But then you gotta wonder, right? You take off the mask of who's saying these words, and it's also your brain. So hold on, the brain is kicking itself, but then it's also getting upset that it's kicking itself. Hey, pick yourself up by your own bootstraps, brain. You can't be the perp and the victim. And don't get me started on whether or not there's malice. There doesn't seem to be. Because there's no logic. Seems like your brain's just kicking yourself down. And then guess what? Picking itself back up just to do the first step again. Lather, rinse, repeat. Except it's a much more nefarious sequence of events. Kick, prop, and repeat. Kick, prop, and repeat. That's what your brain sometimes does. That's depression, I think they call it. What's this guy talking about? You know what I'm talking about? No, probably not. He sounded like a dejected teenager at a work meeting where he like wasn't even really committed to his idea. And then he was like, he tried to like salvage it, close the gap by being like, you guys know what I'm talking about. And even as he was asking that, he was like, no, who am I kidding? No one knows what I'm talking about. Even when I go home, my dog looks at me. I know there's not many thoughts going on in that brain because I wanted a border collie, but someone wanted a Shih Tzu. Well, shit's in the name, so you got what you paid for. I can tell my little Shih Tzu looks at me with no thoughts in their brain, but there's enough of a glimmer in that eye that tells me that there's shame. There's shame behind those little optical lenses. And my dog looks down on me. Because I'm just a dummy, aren't I? It felt bad. I didn't like being there either. There's a lot, see? Good or bad. It's hard to be in a room with these kinds of things. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, maybe you do, maybe you don't. Probably not. Thanksgiving's coming up. I know next week's episode would probably be it would. I know how the calendar works, but next week's episode will be the one of Thanksgiving week, but I have other stuff to talk about next week, so I'll talk about it here. I feel like Thanksgivings. Sorry, what was that, bud? You want to take that again? No, I know what I said. I can salvage it. Okay, go ahead. Thanksgivings. That's where you let off. Good. We're waiting. Okay, well, turkeys. Nope. No, you started with Thanksgiving, so pick up where you left off, champ, huh? You're in the middle of that meal. Go ahead. Pick up the fork and pick of those green beans you were picking at. No, I mean, upon further review, I want to maybe go for the mashed potatoes. Oh, yeah. Or maybe you meant to go for the mashed potatoes the whole time, but now you're thinking, oh, I actually went for the green beans last time. Well, fuck you. Oh, okay. See, there's my brain. Kick, prop, repeat. Kick, prop, repeat. But turkeys during Thanksgiving, they gotta feel like humans during mass layoffs, right? Let me take that again. I didn't say it properly. Turkeys during Thanksgiving, they probably feel like humans during mass layoffs, right? Because during mass layoffs, right, you just show up one week and you're like, hey, where is everyone? And they're like, they got rid of them. And like, what? No, but didn't they know they were so important? No, they did, but they had to reach a certain quota. Really? Yeah, there was a dedicated head count, and they were kind of non-discriminate about who are they getting rid of. Yeah, but did you tell them how important that person was? They weren't here. They weren't having it. It was a numbers game, man. Just be lucky you're spared. Whew. My goodness. I feel like that's how turkeys feel. Because every year, right? Corporations, they typically, especially in the recent past, they got a little head count reduction. And I feel like that's exactly what happens every year at Thanksgiving. Turkeys are like, man, there's a lot of us, huh? They probably have such good Halloween parties, or such good like end of summer parties, because they have to get to them pretty early, right? So they can freeze them and put them in the grocery stores. But they probably have like great end of summer ragers, and they're like, look how many of us there are. Like, do you guys remember how few of us there were at the beginning of the year, right? It felt like everyone disappeared or something. And we have just been populating over these past few months. And guys, look around. I'm proud of where we're at. I'm proud of what we've become. That's all. Feathers in the middle, feathers on 3, huh? 1, 2, 3 feathers, okay? But then, the holiday season comes and everyone's dying. But all the turkeys disappear, right? But they don't kill every turkey. There are probably some left behind. It's kind of like, when you're like boarding a shuttle or something, and then they're like, next one. You're like, next one? I'm going to be late. They're like, no, we don't fit any more people in here. I feel like there's some turkeys that get the arm. They're like, maybe next one. Yeah, by then, your meat probably won't be that good. So we're just going to, how about this? We'll set you aside. We'll let some rich people pardon you so they can feel better about themselves, even though they're going to go right back inside and eat your cousin. So don't pay attention to that, though. But I feel there's a lot of parallels between like turkeys getting killed for Thanksgiving and humans experiencing so many emotions during mass layoffs? There's not really. Now that I've said it out loud, it seems insane. But no, I'm gonna run with it. I think turkeys during Thanksgiving feel exactly like humans during layoffs. Because you look around and it doesn't matter. You're like, well, someone was doing all this before. Well, where are they? They're like, they got rid of them. Really? Did you tell them? Nope. We tried to. I already said this, but you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of parallels. What else happens when there are layoffs? Oh yeah, you start to get scared for yourself, you know? And then there's like survivor guilt. Is that what it's called? Where like the people that were spared, you're like, man, maybe I don't even deserve to be here. And then you start having dark thoughts, and then maybe you jump because you're like, I don't know when the next one's gonna happen. Even though with Thanksgiving, it's the same time every year, you can actually plan for it. You know, maybe get the next year's vacation days. I don't know if turkeys know that, but you should maybe stay until like July. If you make it through one batch, you should stay till July so you rack up the vacation days, and then hey, maybe you get like a severance package when you leave. So boom, that's like maybe hey, a few months of free vacation if you kind of stick it out, huh? But yeah, the people that are remaining, they can't feel great, right? Because they're like, I don't know when the next shoe's gonna drop. Could be me. Maybe I get out of here. And you gotta imagine how hard that is for turkeys because they can't fly. So that's kind of a dark irony. It's kind of like people working today, right? Yeah, technically we're birds. Technically we can go everywhere, but there's so many other factors that are keeping us in place. And so we're actually flightless in a way. Sure, we can go to any other company we want, but it's not worth it. It'd be better if I didn't. Really, I'm not designed to do that. In theory, oh yeah, I could technically, yeah. Turkeys, right? They got the wings. Technically, you guys can fly, right? But no, they can't. It's all for show. You think you can go anywhere, you can't. So yeah, I guess it makes sense, right? Something that doesn't make sense to me is I saw a license plate cover. What is it? License plate frame the other day, and it said only the best moms get promoted to Grammy. And I was like, this is just another instance of someone acknowledging that people are boinking on the low. And it's weird to see this one because it's like a grandparent being like, my kids are fucking. And I'm a really good grandparent because my kids are like super fertile and made another kid. And that kid's probably going to fuck too. If they make a Grammy one, they have to make a great Grammy one. And that's insane. I wonder if you buy the Grammy one, can you like trade it in? It's like, hey, guess what? My kids who were fucking, they made a couple fuckers themselves. And then, you know, they were getting busy. So now can I get the next one? Can I get the great grandma one? But that's just I feel like this is a tired take, but that's always weird. When, you know, people are like, we're trying. Yeah, okay, that's cool. But then to like put it in writing, that's another level of insane. Because you can say it, right, just in passing, you know, maybe, a casual get together. You know, me and the wife, we're trying. Yeah, pumping just loads. Yeah, no. I don't know. We were just trying to make life's little miracle happen. It's like, okay, I'm eating beans and dip. Or bean dip. I'm eating bean dip, and you're dipping your bean in your wife. So I know we're kind of the same, but we're not. Okay, let's just table this. Oh no, I said it. And maybe cross that bridge when we get there. Okay, maybe once you have the kid, then we can have our annual focal where you say, oh, what you accomplished this year, huh? But for now, maybe don't bore me with the details. Once you have the final product, right, and you're able to showcase it, maybe we can have a display. But this don't leave me out of this part. Okay, I don't need to be in the scrum meetings, all right, where you guys are meeting with your scrum. Okay. But only the best moms get promoted to Grammy? What are you talking about? What if your kid's infertile? That's fucked up. That's kind of ableist if you think about it. I'm the best Grammy because my kid's, you know, spunk and gunk works. That's what you're saying. That's insane. Don't put that on a card. Don't put that anywhere. Don't say that to people. Ironically, you know, you should be telling people this if you're going to tell people in passing, right? You do a drive-by. But ironically, this person's driving by you and it's almost worse. See, at a casual get together, you can crop dust people with this news. Yeah, no, me and the wife are trying, and you can kind of hear it out of earshot, right? Maybe they're telling someone else, and then they come to you, and you're like, "Hey, anything new with you?" They're like, "Funny you ask. I was just telling them." I'm like, "You don't have to tell me then, right?" You can kind of do it secondhand. It's not as intense. But with a car, right? Sometimes I get stuck behind a car in traffic, and I'm just that's the only material you can read because I don't have magazines in my car like they do in waiting rooms, so I can't play some crossword or Sudoku that's already been filled out in pencil, but it's still wrong for some reason. So I just look at what my surroundings have given me, and my surroundings have given me a license plate frame that says only the best moms get promoted to Grammy. Also, fuck you, Grammy. Oh, we're gonna be cute at the tail end. You just told me your kids are, making homemade Twinkies, if you know what I mean. And you want to be cutesy with the Grammy? Okay, no, you're a grandma. You're a grandmother, okay? If we're gonna do this, we're gonna do it all the way. Don't play this cute card. Well, I'm just a Grammy, and my kids are playing Rammy, because they're, you know what I'm saying? See, it's not as cute anymore. Grandma. All right. Speaking of cars, it's always sus. 26 years old, by the way. It's always sus when someone's like driving the same way as you and they keep following you. Well, it feels like they're following you, but they're not. They're just going the same way as you for an extended period of time. Because sure, you can take like 2 of the same turn. Oh, that's a coincidence, huh? Twinning. But by the time they take that 3rd turn with you, you're like, okay. Do I have any outstanding debts? Did I get in bed with the mafia? Do I owe anything to mobsters? Because why is that car following me? And it has tinted windows. Do all cars have tinted windows? What's that model? I don't know. Start noticing things. Oh no, when we stopped at the stop sign, they got awfully close to me. And then you see another one of the car go by, and you're like, oh no, they're in cahoots. They're gonna surround me. But then finally you take like that 4th or 5th turn, and then they go the other way, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah. And you don't even tell yourself like, oh, that was nothing. You just tell yourself, I guess they don't need me anymore. That's stupid. That's insane. Not as insane as, proclaiming that your kids are fucking on your automobile, but it's close. It's a close second. But I do that. You said doo-doo. Yeah, because I'm with the shit. Are you? But I do that. If a car is going the same direction as me, I'm like, all right, well, hey, you've been following me for a while now. It's kind of trippy also when you get on a freeway and you exit a freeway and they're still following you. You're like, oh, okay. You're telling me it's just a coincidence we gotta go to the same place, huh? I've never had this, but if you get to your destination and they're there, 2 different theirs, by the way, is back there. But if you ever get to the destination, I would wait in my car. I'd be like, let's let them get out first, and then maybe I'll think about if I truly need to stop at Target today, or maybe I can push it to tomorrow. I don't need anything. I don't need to, take all the Pokemon cards away from 7-year-olds so I can sell them on the secondary market. I don't need to do that today. I can do it tomorrow. Fine. It's okay. Actually, they restock on Sundays, so this actually works out for me. I can steal from more kids. Huh? Isn't that nice? Huh. Because it's either that, or I go in today and I get my knees taken out from underneath me. By a member of the mafia. When in reality, it was just, a mother in a minivan that was trying to pick up some last minute apples for last minute assholes. What did he say? Some last minute apples because, her kid takes a cold lunch at school and he packs apples typically. But yeah, do you ever feel that? You ever have a car follow you and you're like, I should have paid attention during those movies. What do they do when they get followed by someone? And so they're, okay, I already know. They're going to ram me from the back. Like I haven't been there before. Am I right? No, but they're going to ram me from the back. And then what happens? Okay, airbag deploys. Do I speed off or do I put it in reverse and then ram them back? They ram me in the back. Do I ram them back? It's kind of poetic. It's like a haiku of sorts. Maybe I do that. There I go. Been with the shit again. I don't know. If you know what to do in that situation, let me know. Because I'm not too sure. Also, a few weeks ago, I did talk about the Titanic, and I did say that were there any survivors? I wondered aloud, were there any survivors of the Titanic? I don't know. I don't know history. I know that there were survivors of the Titanic. I'm just saying that it's likely that there could have been no survivors. Because what are you talking about? I know they had the boats, right? That's the famous thing. They didn't have enough lifeboats for everyone. But you're telling me everyone on the lifeboat survived? I don't think that's true. Because it was probably cold as fuck out there. And you think, how? I also wonder the technology of the time. When did they know that the Titanic became the Titanic, if you know what I mean? Like, when did its name get written down in the history books? How far was there a time between that and the patrol boats going out being like, well, let's go get the survivors? Because in today's world, right, it would make sense. With phones and everything, someone probably has some plan that has like a little ounce of coverage out there. But what are you going to do back then? Just kind of shoot your flare off and then be like, all right, guys, let's kind of just chill here. Does anyone have cards? They said not to bring anything from our cabin. Yeah, but they always say that. You think people listen to that? Of course not. But now it would be a little easier, right? Someone would have a phone. Yeah. And they'd be like, yo, slide through. We're like out here. I'll drop you my address. I'll pin it on your map. Actually, matter of fact, we're on Find My Friends, right? Oh no, we're not, because we had that argument about fantasy football last week, so I took you off my Find My Friends. Because I told you to like go fuck yourself. And I didn't want you to know where I was. So that you could take your anger out on me, because that's what we do. So, yeah, I've shared my address again, and bro, I owe you one for real, for real. How about this? We'll do a trade. Any trade you want. My fantasy team, your fantasy team. I do have some protected picks, okay? So maybe not those, but any other ones. I know you'd go for those top ones, you fucker. But no, for real, like we're stranded out here on these safety boats, so send help, please. My phone is on 23%, and it does that thing where like once it gets below 20, I turn on the low battery saving, but then it just kind of burns out, right? So if you could send help quicker, yeah. Because I'm trying to preserve. Oh wait, I got a match on Hinge. No, yeah, I'm still here. I'm just, if you could send help as soon as you can. Looks like I got a date next week, so it'd be great to be inland as fast as possible. Also, yeah, the whole saving us thing, that'd be great. I guess everyone's here is kind of freaking out. Kind of ruining the vibe. Trying to be nonchalant in the Titanic survival rafts. Are you guys really freaking out? Yeah, it's fucking cold out here, man. And we just watched a bunch of people die. All right. Act like you've been here before, little bro, okay? Are you sure you don't want this like safety blanket? It's very warm. No, I'm chill, man. Yeah, we know you're chill. That's the problem. Do you want a blanket or not? No. Just take my pick real quick. Get my pick before the boat goes all the way down. You can still kind of see the tip of it. Come on. Someone tries to get in your photo. Bro, we'll do group shots after. Jesus. You're getting this? Oh my God. Look. And now what are the big tubes at the top? Oh my God, the fucking tubes already went on. God, you suck, man. Ugh. I'm not follow for follow after that shit, man. Fuck you. If you thought we were going to be moots after that, you can go fucking fuck yourself. How about that? No, if the Titanic happened today, we would immediately see a TikTok about someone that was on the boat. We would immediately, yeah, see a live video, and then in the comments of the video there would be a bunch of local news stations being like, oh my God, can we borrow this please? And then that person would be like, yeah, no, totally, just make sure to credit me. And then once they get back to safety, we would see them on like all the podcasts for like the next week. And then in like 10 years from then, there'd be like a YouTube documentary style video that's 55 minutes too long about like, where are they now? What happened to them? Remember that Titanic survivor? Where are they now? After many appearances on famous podcast, what are they up to now? Well, they were able to capitalize on their 15 minutes of fame for a couple weeks, but then they, squandered it all away because they invested in NFTs. And now, yeah, I don't know. They're like fucking, they're an Etsy witch. and you can hire them. Actually, their tag is right here. So you can click it and we actually get a commission. So we've actually partnered with them. We reach out to them and they would love to do a little collab. So yeah, we actually dual posted this. So this is on their channel too. They're kickstarting their channel. So go check it out. Make sure you subscribe and tell them that I sent you. So yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, folks. I'll talk to you next week. Okay, bye. I did my outro there just as an example of how they would end the video, but I didn't want to end my podcast episode by doing that. That felt weird to just do that. So I wanted to just come to you as me at the end and not like a character. So this is Gauruv, by the way, is Gauruv Virk. Yeah, Virk with a V. V as in Victor, IRK. Yep, thank you. Yep. Yeah, third one on the list. Yep, okay. Party of, yep. Okay. You said +1s were cool? Okay, cool. Just making sure. Yep. Cool. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, there's a badge. Okay. Nice little name tag. Loving that. Okay. The event's just this way. Cool. And free food and drink. Thank you so much. Awesome. Now, I could end the podcast episode right here, but it'd be doing it as another character, so I can't do that. So now I kind of just got to end this normally with no real segue. I don't have any, sorry. I haven't listened to any music in the past week, so I don't have any song recs. Hey, but I have a recommendation, actually. Make sure to, I don't know, I recommend leaving a like and comment on this video. So, who doesn't love a seamless integration just like that? All right, well, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you next week. Okay.